Just gonna quickly preface this video by letting you know that I am not necessarily comfortable with my iPhone's back camera looking back at me as I look into it, so that you can feel that I'm looking at you. So I just recently climbed out of a depressive episode in which I consumed hours of YouTube drama recap videos alongside various pieces of media that inspired said videos. Mostly because my 2016 nostalgia really got the best of me. And there were a few concepts that became so crystal clear that I felt the need to sit down and make this video about. For the entirety of my conscious self's life, YouTube has been an integral component of my everyday routine. And while the subject matter of the kinds of videos that I was watching and or engaging with is kind of ever-changing, therefore influencing the opinions that I'm about to dive into, I feel I have a pretty stable understanding of how content creation has changed over the course of YouTube's history. I honestly don't know if it's that creativity was more or less prominent then comparative to now. I think the old YouTube was just constructed in such a manner that prioritized people being people in a way that we found entertaining or funny or interesting, regardless of what they did, because we were subscribing to people and we're buying into someone's personality. Maybe it is still this way, and the introduction of the algorithm to the platform of YouTube is just skewing my perspective. But ever since React videos have blown up, YouTube has not been the same. And listen, I'm not a video essayist. I'm not going to cite any source or link for you in the description, really any piece of media. I'm not even sure that I can currently link anything in the description of my videos because I am a fairly new account. I'm just simply observing shit. I just think once reaction videos took off and I started to see more and more split screen videos pop up on my shorts feed containing both like a ASMR soap cutting clip and some soundbite from a conservative podcaster, it became pretty clear to me that YouTube is in desperate need of a makeover. At this point, pretty much every corner of the internet is trying to get us to buy something. At least the corners of the internet that we actually get to see, considering algorithms tend to favor creators that perform better and thus have obtained sponsors. But does anyone remember a time in which the person talking to you was the only product that you were buying? Does anyone remember when the product you were buying was free? Does anyone remember when YouTube wasn't profitable at all and people were simply existing within this space for the fun of it? People used to connect here, and now, just like every other social media platform, an algorithm decides what content gets viewed by who, ultimately in an attempt to isolate or divide us for increased engagement. Which tragically brings me to my next point. People are literally just people. Ever since social media became the new TV and our primary news source, I think that larger creators across all social media platforms have become more susceptible to the kind of scrutiny that we would only really see A-list celebrities face. And while yes, in any case, judging the lives of people that you don't know is morally wrong, we now live in a time where not only do we have amateur gossip column style journalists here on YouTube weighing in on the lives of larger creators, but like everyone and their moms in the comment section doing the same exact thing. And that honestly scares me. Do you remember checking out the grocery store, and as you go up to pay, you see a pop star on the cover of some morally inferior magazine with the caption, "Fat now?" And they're just like trying to enjoy themselves, having a day at the beach. Well, we're all this morally inferior magazine now. And we're doing it openly. To the public. Not just in our heads because we've been conditioned to be that. We have no problem with critiquing every move and misstep of any 20-something-year-old uber popular YouTube star who just moved to Los Angeles fleeing unthinkable circumstances in their hometown, thinking they had just hit the jackpot because their story times resonate with hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't expect more from the people that we look up to. I'm kind of just saying maybe we shouldn't be looking up to complete strangers that we don't really know anything about, who just so happen to have a decent working camera, access to video editing software, and tend to be pretty entertaining while recounting an interaction they once had at a Chick-fil-A. People are literally just people. They're going to be bad. They're going to say things that make you feel uncomfortable. They're going to date people that you think are too young for them. They are going to do things that reflect ignorance and hate. They are human people, and they are not exempt from being riddled with error just like the rest of us. They're no different from your microaggressive uncle. Aside from the fact that your microaggressive uncle is probably going to be invited to your family's next holiday party. And just to get this out of the way, literally everyone on planet Earth has been faced with someone in their life whose views are not entirely progressive. Regardless of your cultural background or any other identity-based factor, I can pretty much guarantee that you are friends with, are related to, have been taught by, live near, have laughed at the joke of, or simply just know someone who is at the very least microaggressive. I would rather be entertained by or even come to love someone who is openly ignorant and unwilling to compromise when it comes to their speech than someone who is closeted in their ignorance and makes disingenuous apology videos to keep view counts up. I suppose I just prefer authenticity. I don't have to agree with someone wholeheartedly to see myself in them. I don't have to see someone as morally just in order to extend to them compassion. I don't have to be shown proof that an individual is worthy or deserving of universal love. Universal love, or radical love, is about accepting someone exactly the way that they are right now and showing them love regardless. It doesn't mean excusing vile behavior, but instead acknowledging that more than one thing can be true about someone at once, and that love encourages growth while hostility does nothing. I wouldn't want someone who wronged me to be up late at night thinking about how badly their actions may have affected me for the rest of time. I would want someone who wronged me to acknowledge their actions very honestly, and if they weren't willing to do that, have a fulfilling life regardless. It doesn't do the collective consciousness any favors when someone who has inflicted pain and suffering at one point in their lives lives the rest of theirs in pain and suffering. At some point, we have to imagine a world in which people who have caused some suffering and people who have suffered at the hands of others can both end up leading with love. We cannot constantly put people under a microscope and continually judge and berate them for being human, therefore at least a little unhealed, therefore messy, and therefore a little bit more likely to do and or say things that might just ruffle some feathers, or maybe even require legal intervention. And these may be more radical ideas, but I just don't think that people are as black and white as most of us want them to be. And we'd probably all be a lot happier if we weren't expecting people to be saints or gods or whatever. We're all in this together, and we won't ever find any common ground, understanding, or peace until we recognize that our humanity alone has the power to unite us in ways that could be infinitely liberating. I'm not going to tell you to stop being sensitive or to stop being offensive, but instead encourage you to be more inquisitive, encourage you to be more compassionate, encourage you to be more loving, or at the very least accepting. Like, at least start the process of thinking about entertaining the prospect of beginning to accept the people that ruffle your feathers, even when it's uncomfortable, because you want to be right and you want everyone around you to agree with you. Like, spend some time with some people in their 60s and ask them to tell you jokes that are going to piss you off and would get them canceled if they were to tweet them to hundreds of thousands of people, and then accept them and maybe even learn to love them anyways. Spend some time with some teenagers and ask them what pronouns they use, so when they answer sie, zer, you can recoil with confusion and then learn to love and accept them anyways. Spend some time alone and browse the internet and consume a piece of media that's just laced with information that makes you uncomfortable and that you disagree with. Sit with it. Let yourself type out a long piece of commentary fueled by pure acrimony just to delete it. Then thank the universe that you live in a world that is full of all different types of people with all different types of opinions that you disagree with, that challenge you intellectually, thereby increasing your likelihood of remaining mentally spry in your later years. And cry if you have to. I've now spent about an hour and a half recording this. It'll be really interesting to see how short this video ends up being, because I did repeat each and every line 6 or 7 times. I'm okay. God forbid one of those lines doesn't work with another one. I'll cry forever. I could reshoot. I don't want to reshoot. I'm not gonna reshoot. We all know that I'm not gonna reshoot, right? Also, I have some videos up on this channel. This is my first, I'm being real kind of video, and I couldn't even really be real with you because I wrote some notes and I kind of read them word for word because they weren't really notes. It was more like a script. I just felt I couldn't change anything that I wrote, really. So I did read it out word for word, and I'll admit to maybe it lacking a little bit of authenticity. I mean, I stand by everything that it is that I've said, and I do speak this way, genuinely. I don't know that I would have accessed that side of me in this very moment, because I am very hungry right now. It's important to me. I'm gonna eat an Oreo. By the way, I eat so many Oreos. It would be the coolest thing in the world if I could make my own Oreo. I actually have an idea for my own Oreo. I don't really want anyone to know it, though, because that's my idea. And if you get an Oreo collab and you steal my Oreo idea, I'm gonna be pissed. So please don't steal my Oreo idea, even though I didn't tell you it. I'll give you a hint. It includes peanut butter. Future me, I think it would be a really good idea if you made a bloopers reel, because this video, this long take, is gonna be riddled with the bloopers. There will be legions. There have been legions. I'm pretty. Yes, mamas. Peace out, Girl Scout. Source. Ever since any Mista there was in the con. Suppose I just prefer Austin. I guess I just prefer authenticity. I don't know. To be bright in your later years. Later, gator. Later, gator.